Toby he's a wonderful man. So the way he explained things, and especially the materials I got, they've been very, very helpful. So I feel like if I am going to start, not even necessarily a job, but going anything related to such, it will really, really, in fact, it will really, really help me. There's a plan I had for a lady to help her to build her branding, and the plans the plans really changed. Like the plans I had before, they changed, and I was able to like reshape the whole thing. I feel like it has really, really helped me over this week. So I'm gonna say thank you to you, Mr. Victor, and thank you to Mr. Toby, every organizer and every participant. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Really glad to hear that. Really glad to hear that it has changed your perspective on certain things. Thank you so much for those kind words as well. Welcome, Fisayomi. Welcome, Kenti. Welcome to everybody who has just joined. All right, so I'm just going to go straight to introduce what we have today. So today we'll be looking at brand management, how to manage brands, how to take brands from ground zero and put them on flights. This is the Cockpit Media. We are about putting your dreams, giving flight to your dreams. And so we have with us this morning Jamachukwu Akuwudike. Let me just read out her illustrious profile. So Jamachukwu, popularly known or personally and professionally known as Jama, is a vibrant brand manager and creative storyteller who leads the creative team at Grosity, a food tech company redefining access to affordable staple foods. Jama helps brands articulate their identity with clarity, depth, and authenticity. Her expertise spans shaping compelling brand narratives, building emotional resonance, and curating campaigns that don't just look good, but feel deeply meaningful. She's also the founder of Drink Up and Eat Up, a healthy lifestyle brand serving wholesome meals and refreshing beverages, and the creative mind behind Blueprint Films, a storytelling platform dedicated to faith-inspired and socially conscious filmmaking. In addition, Jama is the visionary behind Tribe of Day, a Christian community committed to sharing the gospel through imaginative hangouts and purpose-driven outreaches that spark faith, connection, and transformation. Whether Jama is managing content, developing brand strategy, directing creative projects, or mentoring emerging talents, she brings a thoughtful, story-first approach to everything she does, anchored in purpose, driven by impact, and inspired by truth. And I've worked with Jama on a particular project on Sips in Christ. Some of you know Sips in Christ. And while I was working with Jama, I figured that this is somebody who, like, she has in a room full of creatives, she literally has some of the most brilliant ideas. And like I tweeted yesterday, you all who are part of these Hangar Sessions, you're going to have a great time this morning. I can vouch for that. So we have Jamachukwu in our midst this morning. I'll just like us all to pay close attention to what she has to share with us in the next 60 minutes. So please just make welcome with me, Jamachukwu Akuwudike. Jama, you can take over from here.
Hi.
Good morning.
So Mike, hi Fisayo, hi Ngozi.
Good morning,
Please,
Jama.
if I murder your name, don't be upset. Hello everyone, please, if you can hear me, actually unmute your mic and say hello, good morning.
Hello,
Let me
good
hear
morning.
your voice.
Hello, Jama. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good
Hi.
morning.
Oh, okay. I love the excitement. I'm equally excited. So first off, hi everyone. Good morning. I am very, very excited and happy to be here. Yes. I'm very excited and happy to be here. This is a privilege, and I do not take it lightly. I do not take it for granted. Whenever there is an opportunity to speak to people, young, old, or just have conversations in general, I am going to be sat. I will be there. And before I even go into anything, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. So before I go into anything,
Yes,
I want to say, brilliant. I want to say a very big thank you to Cockpit Media for this platform, the Hangar. This is a very, very good forum for people to, learn things. And I think that it's a very, very brilliant idea, bringing people together to learn a couple of things that would, in turn make them, make the participants of this program to become thought leaders in the future. I am equally learning from time to time. I have classes today as well, just so you people know. So yeah, I'm equally learning as well. However, I believe that I have a wealth of knowledge to share. So let us, be ready. Hope we have our books, jotters, pens, tablets, whatever you write on, even if it's leaf. Do you write? Are there people that write on leaves here? Whatever it is you write on, please get it together and let's get started. But I want to do something before we start. I want to do something before we start. I know we had a class last week. Can I get one person to speak briefly on what it was? I think it was a class on copywriting. In a minute, just summarize what it was, if you can.
Okay, good morning.
All right, good morning.
Yeah. So last week was actually fun and exciting. It was brought Oluwatobiloba Popola that spoke, and the idea he talked about the business of storytelling. So the first thing he mentioned he talked about our goal, about like our goal should be impact. That when we work towards impact, then creativity will follow. So we shouldn't just only chase creativity first, we should chase impact. And he also talked about how to create our story, where he talked about we should also first recognize our audience, recognize and respect our audience, the audience we serve, because these are the people we are actually targeting. So we have to first understand them, understand how they work, how they think and how they behave. So he also talked about we should stand for something, that if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. And I think the last part was where we talked about the pop culture, where he explained that like pop culture is like simply stuffs people share and talk about, that there's nothing more to that as pop culture. And he taught us on how to make something a pop culture, like how to make a content a pop culture. I said by making it like a memeable material. When you want to create the content, will it make the news? Ask yourself, will it make the news? And also he talked about a lot of things. So I think that those were the things I was able to get from the class.
Olarewaju Isaiah. Right. Thank you so much. I'm happy you grasped things from the last class, and I'm excited for today. Before we start, please, I would love to pray. Hope that's fine by everyone. Hope that's fine by everyone.
Yes, please.
Right.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
All right, thank you. Our most gracious God, we thank you for today. We thank you for this time we're about to have. We thank you because we know that you're here in our midst. Thank you for the idea of this platform. Thank you because we know that as a reason of being in this class, as a reason of speaking, as a reason of participating, the words that would come to us today would pierce through our hearts like a two-edged sword, and it will come to us with precision. And at the end of the day, all glory shall be unto your name, because all that we learn today shall be used to your own glory, in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Amen.
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 All right. Great. Okay. Right. So if you have reactions, please react. Right. We're going to make this one. I need to be done in another 45 minutes. So we're going to be really fast. So quickly, who knows what it means when you hear brand? When you hear brand, what do you think that means? What do you think the word means? Very quickly.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
My name is Abraham. For me, I feel like a brand is not necessarily a logo or a symbol or a product. I feel like a brand is your customer's gut feeling, like a customer's gut feeling about a product or a service or a company or organization. When a company sees your brand, what do they think about you, your brands, your company, your product's reputation? So I feel like that is a brand.
Amazing. That's very spot on. Let's get another meaning. Chirendo, I think you wanted to say something.
Okay, I just wanted to say that to me, a brand is simply, or the way I understand it is that it's simply a company or an organization or even a person. Let's say a celebrity is a brand. So that's how I see it.
Okay. I mean, you're correct. Abraham spoke, right? Abraham, you're equally correct. Chidima, do you want to say something? You'll be the last person to speak for now.
Okay, I also believe that a brand is like the identity of a company or an organization. It could be just any group, right? It's just their identity, what they are known for, their quality, and the products and services they offer. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. You're equally correct, and I love that. Everyone on this call has, at least 70% of the people on the call have an idea of branding, and brand management. So my objective, my plan, my plan for this class is, I sincerely, from my heart, hope that every single person on this call, at the end of this class, would understand the scope of branding, the dynamics of brand management. You all already learned about copywriting last week, but I still would hope that everyone on this call would understand storytelling, personal branding, and the importance of branding. And when I received the brief for this class, I was told, I don't know, you would have to correct me if I'm wrong. I was told that I was going to be speaking with young people, so majorly undergraduates, fresh graduates, or just aspiring creatives, entrepreneurs, and professionals looking to create something that would, truly reflect who they are. So please, hope you all fit into any of what I just mentioned. Give me a thumbs up, please. I need to know who I'm speaking to. Thank you. All right. Okay, so very quickly, right? For me, I would say that, and it's something that someone has already said in time past. He said, his name is Simon Sinek. He said that your brand is not what you sell, but then it is what you stand for. So I totally agree with the person that spoke about, I think that's the person that spoke about brand identity and what Abraham said. I totally agree with those. Because in today's world, people don't just buy products. Yes, you can have products under a brand, but people don't just buy products or follow your Instagram pages or Twitter pages, right? They connect with your story. They connect with people and their stories. So when you think about it, when you really introspect, when you really think about it, you know that the most unforgettable brands aren't just beautiful designs, aesthetics, but then they are brands that are deeply felt. So when you think of brands like Indomie, you remember the nostalgia you felt when you were small, right? when you see ads, when you see their ads from, sorry, are we up to 20 years here? When you see their ads from maybe 15 years ago, you think, oh my God, immediately you start to think of that particular moment, Mama, do good, or you do good, right? You felt something and it stuck with you. That is branding, that is perception, right? And that is what we are going to be talking about today. And I hope that this class helps you build a brand that actually feels like you, because that is the topic I have, put together when in terms of brand management, building a brand that actually feels like you. Right. So I went ahead to, explaining. One second, please. I went ahead to explaining that a brand is the overall perception and identity of a business, of a product, or a person in the minds of every single person that brand comes in contact with. So including yourself. So what is the overall perception you have of a particular brand that you own? What is the overall perception you have of yourself? So if you are the brand, what is the perception you have of yourself? What is the perception you have of an iPhone? What is the perception you have of a Maggie, right? What is that perception? So there are different, when defining a brand, right? There are different things that come to play to make up a brand. We talk about the visual identity of that brand. So we have the logo, colors, the fonts, and then the packaging of your brand. So in as much as we have the logo, the colors, the fonts, and packaging, that is not the only definition of a brand. You cannot think of a brand and just think of only logo, right? It goes a step further into the voice and the tone of that brand. So when you speak, right, what do you want people to think of you when you speak, right? Branding is like the total experience. So from the visual look to the emotional impression, it is the story you actually tell and the trust you build over time. Do you want me to take that again? I said it from my head. I hope I can say it. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, would you like me to repeat that again?
Yes, please.
Right, so I said that branding, think of branding as like the total experience that people get to experience of you or your product or your brand, right? From the visual look, so the fonts, the colors, the logo, the packaging of your brand, to the emotional impression. What people think of you, what impact your brand has on them, and then the story you tell and the trust you build over time. Now, that trust that you're building over time is where management comes in, right? Yes, you have started it, you have designed your logo, you have decided on the colors, the fonts, the packaging, but then what's the actual thing that would sustain that is how you manage all of what you've done, including the voice and the tone of your brand. So you see some brands that could be very friendly. You know of some brands that are strictly professional. There are brands that are strictly friendly, and then you know of some brands that are a combination of both. How do you manage that? Brand is also about your customer's experience. So how people have already spoken about this. That's the emotional impression, right? How people feel when they interact with you. And then finally, your reputation. So when you're not in the room, when you're not in that place, what would people say about you? What would people say about your brand? Would you be referred to someone? Would your product be referred to someone? That is reputation. So at the end of the day, right, A brand is a story people believe about you, shaped by what you do, say, and how you make them feel. And brand management is hinged on what you do and how you make people feel. Are you following?
Yes, we are.
Right. So branding, right? Going into the whole experience, customer experience and emotional impressions now. Branding is the science and the art of shaping how people actually perceive both you, your business, and your product. It is the intentional work you do to ensure that when someone hears your name or sees your product or experiences your service, they feel exactly what you want them to feel every single time, consistently. Please underline the word consistently, so it doesn't waver, it doesn't change over time. Every single time, at every single point that someone mentions your name, everybody needs to, think the same thoughts about you. Everybody needs to have the same thing to say about you, about your brand, about your product. It has to be consistent across board, across every single individual that you've come in contact with, across your social media platforms, across your stores, if you have physical shops, so including the people that work with you and work for you. Every single person needs to have the same perception of you, of your brand, right? So now I have a quick teaser, right? I need to know that we are following. And I would need 3 people to answer to this question. So we have a scenario of a restaurant, right, that spends millions and tons of money on ads and influencers for its opening week, but never invests in staff training, never invests in the quality of food or the look and feel of the restaurant, right? So my question to that would be, why will the branding of these restaurants fail in the long run?
Hi,
Hi.
good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, my name is Alozie-Eke.
Hi, Alia.
All right. First of all, why this brand will fail in the long run from the area of staff training. If the staff are not properly trained, they would probably not be able to represent the company's, that's the restaurant values properly. They may not be able to attend to the customers and will not be able to serve the customers properly. That's number one. Number two is the ambience. As much as people want to eat, they would want to eat in a place that looks good. To some people, they would really prefer the outlook of the restaurant than the food and whatever they are going there for. That's one other reason why the brand will fail. And then the third one is the food quality. In as much as I'm going to a restaurant and I want to eat, I would also want to eat a good food, not food that will probably make me purge or something. So if the quality of the food is not optimal, then this brand will also fail in the long run. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Alia. One more person, because
Hello,
I just
good
looked at the
morning.
time. Good morning.
My name is Abraham. So I feel like this brand is going to fail. Just like Alia said, I agree with her. So staff training, ambience, and food quality. Whenever you are building a brand, like you said, that you have to build trust and you have to build consistency. What your viewers, what your customers, what they see online, what they see about your brand, if they come to your the physical place and they do not find those things, you lose trust and you lose your loyalty. So this brand is going to fail on the long run due to lack of trust and lack of consistency, lack of that value that you push out there, because nobody's going to push the wrong value about his or her brand. People are coming to a brand or to a restaurant. People take pictures, take videos in a restaurant. They won't take photos in a restaurant that does not have a good ambience. If the staff are rude, I will not come back to your restaurant. So you have to train your staff properly as well. And also your food quality. Nobody would look at flies or taste food that tastes like nothing. Everybody have their own tastes. So you cannot just generalize it, but of course, people have to like eat good food. When they come to your restaurant, you have to work on your ambience, your staff, and your food quality. So the brand will lose trust, and the brand will lose loyalty from its customers due to the fact that they are pushing out the wrong image about them, and then what the customers meet when they actually visit them is not exactly what they saw out there. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Very detailed. What I think her name is Aluya. What Aluya said and what you said, Abraham. Very detailed, very brilliant. Thank you so much. Yes, I've said what you guys said is correct, but I need us to take it from the very beginning, right, of the scenario where they said it's a new restaurant and they have spent a lot of money on ads and influencers. Those two things that they've spent money on are marketing, right? And there is something that business owners these days, right, fail to understand, especially people that have not really, gone into the crux of branding. They just, want to start making money immediately, like, let's get this money in. There is something that they do, right? They just start to market. And they really do not understand that marketing is not branding. You first have to brand, and you first have to master branding before you start to market any product or any business that it is that you want to start pushing out. But the moment you start pouring in millions, pouring in thousands, or even hundreds of naira, right? Pouring in money into ads and giving influencers, whether nano or A-class influencers, you're definitely going to convert. Meaning that people would walk into your restaurant, but then when they walk into your restaurant, right, and they meet staff that are not trained, they've not been taught they do not know the actual brand voice or the tone of your brand. So you're the owner of the brand, you're the only person that knows how your brand should, look and feel to the outside world. But then the people that work in that restaurant, they really do not know how to speak to people. They are rude, unruly. And then they, regard people that come into your restaurant in whatever way they deem fit, right? Or the ambience now. Let's say this particular restaurant is on social media. They are seeing something else on social media, and then they come into the restaurant and they're seeing something else. I'll be scared. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be really scared. I'm going to be like, where did I come to? Have I been kidnapped, or was I kidnapped? But then you use your two legs to go there, but then it's deception, right? Or then the food quality. You go into a restaurant that they've praised themselves on social media, or the influencers that they brought have praised them from top to down to bottom, and then you now go in and you taste their food and you're eating stone inside rice. Hello. That is completely like you're spending money on the wrong places. You're spending a lot of money in the wrong places. Yes, marketing is very important, but you first need to master branding. So obviously, I say that because marketing will definitely bring people in, but what will keep those people coming back to your restaurant or to your business is branding. And for people to come back, the entire thing is built on their experience. Their experience is built through their experience and not just advertising. I'll say it again, advertising is very, very important, right? I am big on asking, it's time to advertise, but then I would have branded you first before I would give you go ahead to advertise. Okay? So now let us, understand let us understand the different words of branding. So we are going to debunk some things and we are going to accept some things. So we are going to start with what branding truly is. I have 5 things here. I know that there are more than 5, but I needed to keep it compact. So first off, but then these are very important points to note. Branding is perception. I put it there as number 1 because you can never take it away. Branding is perception. So for example, now Apple. I believe we all know the mobile phone, the brand Apple.
Yes,
iPhone.
we do.
Yes, Apple. So when you think of, let me even ask, who spoke now? The person that said she knows Apple.
Chiwendu.
Yes, Chiwendu, thank you. So when you think of Apple, when you think of iPhone, what comes to mind? What's your perception of the phone?
Okay, the perception that comes to mind is they have a great camera quality, and they are different. It's different from Android, so that's what I have in mind about them.
Well, you just wanted to shade Android at this point because there are Android phones that are good. Anywho, so for me, when I think of iPhone, the first thing that comes to mind, the very first thing that comes to my mind is luxury. When I think of iPhone, I just think of premium. I think of sleek. And then I think of innovation. Do you know why I think of innovation? Let me tell you people why. Next month, they said, next month they are bringing out iPhone 17. When did iPhone 16 come out? They're always innovating, right? When I think of iPhone, the first thing that comes to mind is luxury. And then I now think of their innovative prowess. Please let me know you're following.
We're following. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
We're following.
All right, thank you. So yeah, for brand perception is how people actually see, think, and feel about your brand, and not just what you say about yourself. Because anybody can just come and say anything, and you'll be like, and you say, oh, you might finish saying it, and you go to the next person, and you say another thing. So it is what the other person thinks about you, it is what they feel about you, and it is what they see about you that we regard as perception, as brand perception. And that's why it's advised that you have to stay authentic. You have to stay true to yourself. So if you're putting out a product, you have to put out a great product so that whatever someone wants to think about your product, whatever they want to think about you, they are only going to think the good thoughts. Because once the wrong perception of your brand is, impressed in someone, once the wrong perception of your personal branding is impressed, it will take a lot. It's going to take a lot to change that perception, right? Because perception on itself is built over years. It is built consistently over years through messaging, through delivery, and through design. I'll take that again. Perception is built over years through consistent messaging, through your delivery of that message, and through design, right? So the next point here is branding is consistency. You would note that I mentioned that perception is built through consistent messaging. So it's only right that I talk about consistency next. Right? Brand consistency is the practice of making sure your brand looks, sounds, and feels the same across every touch point. Now, this might sound like perception. They are all intertwined. Perception, consistency, emotional connection, storytelling, everything, they are all intertwined. That is why it is branding. You cannot take one away from the other, right? And in brand perception, I was going to talk about brand identity, but Victor, please correct me. I think there is going to be a class on brand identity.
That will be for identity design, not just brand identity. So if you have anything to share on brand identity, please, you can go on.
All right, so I've touched on that a couple of times already, but I'll just speak on it briefly. So your brand identity is how you want to be seen. So it's the visual element of your brand, so to speak. It is how you want to be seen, right? And then perception is how people actually see you. So this is me just giving a quick difference to brand identity and brand perception, right? Brand identity is how you want to be seen, and brand perception, on the other hand, is how people actually see you. So you on your own, you by yourself, you know what you know how you want people to see you. That's identity. But then perception is now how, at the end of the day, after you finish showing them, or you finish thinking the thought of how I want these people to see me, at the end of the day, they would only perceive what they want to perceive about you. So it's only right that you give them the right things to perceive, right? Let me quickly touch on why brand perception really matters, right? I'm sorry, I'm going back to perception because I just spoke on identity. Brand perception matters because it determines loyalty. So if people perceive you as trustworthy, they will keep coming back. That's loyalty. Brand perception also affects value. So I have this thing where I say that strong positive perception equals people who are willing to pay more. So that's value. You have something to offer, right? So if your perception, if people's perception of you is really strong, they are going to be very, very willing to pay more. Now, let me say something. Let me give you a very quick example, right? I have a wedding to attend today, right? By the way, that's where I'm rushing to. I have a wedding to attend today. However, this wedding is happening in a completely different state from where I'm used to. So I had to go online to search for makeup artists that would beat my face. And I saw a couple of them. One that was very, very close to me, which would have even been the best option for me to go with. But then what I saw on her page, I'm like, God, I think I was very scared because the eyebrow was too scary. It was too big, too bold, too black.
It was
I'm like, what's going on here? Oh, thank you very much. It was not demure at all. It was very not classy. And I sent a message. I wanted to, first of all, I'm very big on branding. I'm very big on what you put out there, because obviously I don't know you one-on-one. So it's what you put out there that I am going to have to consume, right? To know if I'm even going to go with you in the first place. So I consume that, and I already know off the bat that I'm not going with this person. But then again, that's the angle of, she's close to me. She's close to where I'm going to be staying. Let me still give her a chance. So I send a message, right? And then I'm now hearing that she has not done makeup in a couple of months. And then, but that's her page, right? And she does makeup, and she's telling me that she hasn't done makeup in a couple of months, and she now wants to refer me to someone else. First of all, she doesn't believe in herself. So why am I supposed to believe in her to do my makeup, or to even refer someone that is good to do my makeup? However, there was the other person that I finally went with. She put out a front of, so her page is fully branded, first of all, because that is the first contact I have. Her page is fully branded. She put out a front of, this is what I have to offer, and what I have to offer is good. So whatever amount of money I tell you is a good amount of money to pay, whether for walk-in or for home service. I went with home service, and the amount of money she told me to pay, I paid. Why? Because from conversations with her staff, so the representative that I was chatting with, everything was just so seamless and so respectable, right? But then if I saw what I saw on the other person's page, first of all, on her page, I'm gonna have to wait for someone else, right? So from the perception I had of that brand being a very strong positive perception, and then she telling me what she wanted me to pay for home service, I was very willing to pay that amount of money. It was huge, but then that's the value to pay for a good perception that was created. Are we getting what I'm saying?
Yes, very well.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
And
very
finally,
well.
this is just from the top of my head. Now, let me just say to you that perception is hard, very, very hard to fake. You cannot just open your laptop and design a perception that you want people to believe in. It's very, very hard to fake. You first of all have to earn it through consistent experience. You still, piggybacking off the experience I had with this particular makeup artist now. So it's a conversation that has happened over a couple of days leading up to today. If that person that I was having that conversation with became rude at some point, I would have gone elsewhere, because I'm sorry, it's my money, right? Perception is hard to fake. You cannot just put up a front today and tomorrow is something else. Take Coca-Cola as an example, please. Imagine if Coca-Cola serves you the Coke that you know today. Like, let's say today is the first day that you're tasting Coca-Cola, the soda. And then tomorrow, inside that same bottle, what will be inside is a bowl. What would actually go through your mind? Think about it. If you drink the sweet, did you say nice?
Yes, I did.
Are you serious? You drink the sweet Coke that you know today, and then tomorrow you drink a bowl when you're expecting that same sweet Coke.
Yeah,
It's
he said
a lie
They are
now.
lying.
It's a lie. They're
They're
lying.
lying.
Okay, lies. Let me tell you, I heard
Yes.
nice. What I heard was nice. N-I-C-E.
Oh, no.
Please, excuse you. All right, so moving on to brand consistency. So brand consistency, like I said initially, is the practice of making sure your brand looks, sounds, and feels the same across every single touch point. Very quick question. Who can tell me, so this is a very, very easy question, by the way. What's the difference between consistency and, like, when it comes to branding, when you stay consistent and then when you become inconsistent, what would be the ripple effect of that?
Hello. I feel like when you stay consistent, the perception, it remains the same. So you look the same, you feel the same, and they perceive the same thing. And consistency also helps you to build, loyal customers and like the trust you build over time. But when you stay inconsistent, you are this today, you are that tomorrow. You cannot generalize it when it comes to branding. You have to pick a particular niche. So inconsistency also builds inconsistent audience and inconsistent customers, and that's where you will not have loyal customers and people will not they won't count you trustworthy.
Exactly.
I
Thank
also
you.
feel that you will not be easily remembered if you are inconsistent.
Perfect. Exactly. So consistency, that means same energy, same style. You're giving the same promise every single time. But then when you become inconsistent, you create doubts in the hearts of your audience or customers. You create confusion. For example, now that Coke illustration, the analogy. Why are you confusing us? Do you want us to be drinking sweet stuff, or do you want us to be cleansing our system with a bowl? Like, what exactly is your what are you marketing to us in particular? You lose trust that way, right? So consistency matters in branding because of credibility. It matters because of recognition. It matters because of professionalism. It has to be the same across board. It has to have the same organized feel, reliable feel across board. And consistency matters to create a strong emotional connection with your audience, with your customers. Creates, when you stay consistent, it forms a bond between you and your customers, because they feel like you're authentic. And that brings me into talking about branding as being emotional connection, building emotional connection in branding, right? Brand emotional connection is that bond, like I already said, that goes beyond just the products and the service that you render. It's when a customer doesn't just buy from you, but they also feel something from you. Emotions, right? They also feel something from you. It's about creating an emotion like trust, joy, in regards to iPhone now, pride. Because when people use iPhone and they say, who was that person that gave that explanation of iPhone and Android? She just had to mention Android. Right? Pride. Right? It gives your customers a sense of belonging. For some brands, right, it gives them they feel like they also own the brand. And that's how loyalty stems. And it all comes from where? Emotional connection. So people connect with your brand on a human level and not just transactional. So it's not just, they don't just feel like, all you want from me is my money. But then they feel like they are one with your brand. They feel like, especially, let me say something to every person on this call. If you offer a service, now I'm not talking about products that people have to eat stuff. It also applies to products like that. But then when you offer a service, so services like you go into someone's house or people come into your store and you have to service them. Let's say you're a plumber or you're a banker or you're a makeup artist, right? You don't want to make people feel like all you want from them is their money. So for example, when you're doing the makeup on that customer, you have first, let me put it out there because not everybody likes to talk, right? But you first have to like ask that question of, please, are you fine with speaking while doing your makeup? If it's something you want to do with, if you're a makeup artist, right? Try to build some sort of connection with your clients, because it drives loyalty. It turns buyers into advocates. They will bring more people for you when they're connected to your brand. And at the end of the day, it increases your value perception, because people would even want to pay more, right? Once someone has the emotional connection to, they might even tip you once you're done with whatever it is that you're doing. They will give you a tip to say thank you for being a very nice person, right? And then that's how you build a community of people. You build a community of people through emotional connection, right? When speaking of how to build emotional connection, I would speak on consistency again. I will talk about personalizing your experiences, so you make your customers feel seen and heard. And finally, tell stories, because people connect more with narratives, right? People connect more with stories that you tell, with relatable stuff. By telling stories, you create a brand that people can relate with. And that brings me into talking about branding as branding is storytelling. Storytelling on its own, as I already said, it is using narratives to sell your brand. You use stories, you use gists, right, to communicate your brand's values, purpose, and the promise of your brand in a way that connects emotionally with your audience. And storytelling on its own is storytelling is important because, sorry, 1 second. Storytelling is important because it makes your brand memorable. Sorry, give me a second, please. Right, I'm back. Yeah, so I was saying it makes your brand, it keeps your brand memorable, like top of mind, right? Some stories, some facts are forgotten sometimes. How many of you they ask you to give numbers now? How many of you remember how many people were in your class in JSS1? Hello?
A few of them, not all. Oh, Bella, I don't even remember this one.
Exactly. Or
I don't remember.
if something very significant happened in class in that JSS1, is it okay to say that you can still remember it now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So facts on its own can be very, very much forgotten, but stories will stick over time because people might forget prices, right? And by the way, prices change. People might forget prices, but they will always remember how you made them feel with your product. They would always remember how your story, the story of your brand, made them feel. Brand storytelling matters because it differentiates you from other brands. Any single person, do you know how many? So, for example, now if iPhone didn't have a story that they told, or which brand now can I use? Which other brand can I use to
Indomie.
Let's still use it. Exactly. If they didn't have a story that they told,
Right.
if they didn't have a story that they told, and they just decided to make noodles, how many other noodle brands have come up with it? There's Mimi noodles, so I think Golden Penny
There's
they've
chicken
done noodles as well.
We have like other 5 brands.
Exactly. But then everyone's stuck with Indomie. In fact, they now call other brands Indomie as well. Why? Because of the story that Indomie sold. Because of the story that Indomie sold to their consumers. And because of the story, it builds what? Emotional connection. Their customers and clients, making them come back, making them even relate to other products as Indomie. Is that emotional connection? So I mean, there are a lot more things that I can speak on about storytelling when it comes to branding, but we need to move. And okay, so finally on this is branding. We are going to be talking about how branding is the promise you keep. Right. So, like I already said initially, branding is, so we have the whole visual elements of branding, which is logo, the identity, right? But then it's not just that. It's not just the logo of your brand, right? It's not just what you say. It is that promise that you keep. So you said it. Are you actually keeping the promise? So at the end of the day, they are not just seeing logo, but then the story that you sold to them is not what they are getting in turn. The promise you keep is actually the heart of your business. That's literally what builds that emotional connection. That's literally that's what you tell your story around, right? For example, now, if you promise speed, And then if you promise speed and what's a Ferrari now, if you promise speed, you can then when you finally buy the car and you start your car and then you start moving, you're not seeing the speed, you're pressing the accelerator. Where you were, and the road is free, where you were 20 minutes ago, sorry, that's true. Where you were 5 minutes ago is still where you're at, you're still in the same area, the same vicinity. Is it fair? That it means that if you bought that car, you'll be happy. When you already know that
No.
Ferrari has promised to speed. That's going to be very, very wicked of them. Branding is not just logo. The scenario, the example we gave initially, we already know that branding is not marketing. From what I said to you with the makeup artist example, branding is not just aesthetics. Aesthetics, yes, all these things are important too. Your logo is important, your marketing is important, your aesthetics are important, but then this is not branding. It's not hinged on only one of this sector. Branding is not just logo. Branding is not just marketing. Branding is not just the aesthetics that people see. Branding is not a one-time project. It is not a one-time project. It is continuous. It is consistent. And finally, branding is not a quick fix for bad business. You will hear people say stuff like, I want to rebrand. Ask them why they are rebranding. They are rebranding because of a promise that they did not keep. They literally failed it in that aspect. They failed branding. And then they are now doing what branding is not by changing their logo or changing the color, the fonts of their page, or repainting their shop. That is not, branding is not a quick fix for bad business, please. You first have to get it right and stay consistent once you have gotten it right. Once you see that people resonate with what you're doing, you stay consistent with that. In summary, if your brand was a person, so Abraham now, if you're the brand, right? Branding is your personality. It is your value. It is your style. So the way you dress, how people look at you, how you speak when you walk into a room, how they feel about you when they've spoken to you, or even when they see you, right? But obviously, your logo is your face. Let us use any. You know any now, lip gloss guy.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Exactly. So he's his brand, right? And his face is his logo. How did he come into the limelight? Lip gloss boy, because whenever he spoke, he was always putting on lip gloss. That was his logo. That was his branding. That was his, but he has stayed consistent over time, but in a different light. So you know how trends come up, and things you have to stay authentic, by the way, but evolution happens, right? In as much as you will not readily see any sit in front of a camera now putting lip gloss on his face and on his lips anymore. He has outgrown that one, right? But he understands that this is why people actually loved him in the first place, right? So he has put in a lot of money, a lot of time into keeping his face intact. He still applies lip gloss. He's even a brand ambassador for a beauty brand, MAC, because of his branding. But then marketing, like I already said, is how you introduce yourself to them and tell others about what you do. So when you meet people, you first of all branded yourself. You've branded yourself. For example, now Annie said he will be rubbing lip gloss and be talking into the camera. That is his brand. But then now he's talking into the camera and he's telling people about himself. That is the marketing that he's doing for his own personal brand. Now, let's quickly go into the foundations of brand management. I have gone ahead to group all of these. I've gone ahead to group all of these into 3 categories. visual, verbal, and emotional. I'm going to hurry. I need to hurry now. Into visual, verbal, and emotional. Before I even go ahead, are there people on this call that have not spoken yet?
A lot of them.
A lot of them are no, that's not how I operate. We don't do
Can you
that
hear
here.
me?
Who is speaking?
Ngozi is speaking.
Can you hear me?
Mercy, we can hear
Okay.
you.
All right. Hi, Ngozi.
I have not spoken.
Right. Okay. So, Ngozi, please, I have a quick test on this slide. I already said that I've categorized all of these elements, these foundations of brand management into 3 different categories: visual, verbal, and emotional. Can you categorize them into, from everything we've spoken about earlier, group them into the particular category they fall under?
Okay. Brand name, logo and visual identity, brand tone and voice. Brand name is visual. The logo is still visual. Then verbal is customer experience, brand tone and voice. Then it's supposed to be 3. Emotional is brand reputation, brand personality, brand promise. Then brand values and purpose. That's still under emotion. No.
Does anyone agree with Ngozi? Or does
Brand
anyone want to?
positioning is also under visual.
I didn't
Sorry?
actually really.
Can you hear me? Because I'm feeling like my voice is not loud enough.
No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you this time.
You're sounding a little bit muffled, Ngozi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, can someone else take it? Can someone else take it?
Okay, I'm going to go with emotions. So emotions will be personality, values and purpose, and also reputation. Then verbal will be the name, the tone and voice, and the promises that they give. And the visual elements should be the logo, the positioning, and probably customer experience.
Now, you've not called brand name.
Yeah, brand names under verbal, I said earlier. Brand names under verbal. Verbals are the name, tone, and voice, and the promise.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ngozi.
Okay, visual is brand name, logo, and brand positioning. Verbal, brand tone and voice, customer experience, and I don't know for the third one, but emotional is brand personality, brand values and purpose, brand reputation, brand, yes.
Well done. Everyone has spoken, did well, right? I'm going to go ahead to just quickly categorize them. Let me see if it's on the next slide, right? So what people see, what they read, and what they feel, those are the visuals, the verbal, and the emotional. So for under the visual, right, we have brand name, your logo, the color palettes and typography, and then the imagery and design style of your brand. They all fall under the visual elements. So what people see, right? So for Abraham, I think it's Abraham that puts brand name under verbal. You're not entirely wrong, because it still falls under verbal. However, right, it first of all falls under visual. Hence why it has to be in the visual. They first have to see your brand. They first have to see your brand name to get acquainted with it before they can now even start talking about your brand. So it falls under the visual. So your brand name is your identity in words. Your logo is that unique symbol that your brand carries. the color palettes and typography. So the fonts, the size, the font style, the font size, the colors that your brand needs to go by, right? On your designs, they have to be uniform. And then your imagery and the design style is how you present visuals consistently across across all your platforms. So now I'm saying platforms, I'm going to be using social media as an example. So when people go on your social media feed, what do they see from start to finish? It has to be consistent across board. So if you want it to just be your head, let's use Salem. Who knows Salem King? Salem is a very good example. If you go on his profile, I mean, he has started to add a bit of color, but initially, but he still maintains the whole monochrome vibe, right? But if you go on Salem King's platform, you see that he is a black and white guy. That is the way he branded himself in terms of his visuals, right? His imagery and design style. So for the verbal elements, right, what people read or hear about you, we have, it refers to your brand voice or the tone of your voice. So your brand voice is actually your personality, your brand's personality. So you actually have to have a corporate identity for your brand. We call it corporate, we call it brand CI. That's what we call it, brand CI, corporate identity. You have to, if you're starting off a new brand, you have to develop a corporate identity for your brand. Your brand is a person, and your brand as a person needs to have a voice, and that voice needs to have a tone. That way, it becomes the personality of your brand when in communication, when talking about your brand, or when your brand needs to create a perception in the minds, or an impression in the minds of people, right, that they come in contact with. So your tagline is also verbal, right? So it's your message in a nutshell. That's your slogan. Your brand story is also a verbal element. It's the narrative of who you are and why you exist. And then brand promise. Abraham was correct. Falls under verbal elements. That's the value you guarantee to deliver. I've spoken about this already. And then the emotional elements, your brand values and purpose, those are what you stand for. Your brand personality, that's the human traits you embody, right? Brand positioning is about how you stand out from your competitors. I already spoke about this initially. Customer experience is about how you make people feel when they interact with you. And then finally, your brand reputation, what the world truly believes about you, right? It's not that they will believe one thing and then you come back and say you want to rebrand me. That's not me. I'm going to rebrand so that they will believe this or that thing about me. After rebranding, you would still bring back that your bad habits, that your bad character, and then they will not believe that same thing about you again. You now come back again and say you want to rebrand. The cycle continues, and it creates confusion. People would not want to relate. They will not want to be associated with your brand. And I believe that that's not what you want for your brand. That's not what you want people to think of you as a person or a product that you create, right? Let's speak a bit. I was just going to, I thought someone was handling brand identity. So I was going to skip this slide. So let's just speak a bit about it. In foundations of brand management, right? We have brand identity, all of which falls under what we just spoke about. So your brand identity is a collection of all the elements you create to present your brand to the world. So the look, the feel, the voice. So all of what we spoke about here, right, falls under your identity, especially the what's it called now? The visual and the verbal elements. So all three of them, brand identity is a compilation of all three categories, right? But mostly the verbal and the visuals. So it's an identity. Brand identity is the collection of all the elements to create your brand, to present your brand to the world in terms of the way your brand looks, the way your brand feels, the voice that make you instantly recognizable when people hear about your brand. So for example, my brand, Eat Up, when someone hears about Eat Up and Drink Up, they immediately, in fact, I don't even need to, whenever the brand is at a pop sale, we don't even need to do a lot of advertising because we have worked on branding, right? Immediately people see the brand, they immediately know that they are coming to be filled up, right? Obviously, packaging is very important. We've done that. We're still perfecting that. It is great as it is, but obviously with time, as money comes in, it's going to be perfected even more. However, the main thing, how do they feel when they've come to your stand? How do they feel when they've eaten that product, right? What story have I told around this brand? That is the identity of my brand, right? It is easily recognized in that way because we've stayed consistent over time. Differentiation, right? People can easily differentiate my brand from another brand. And I say this humbly because, for example, we have a product that another company sells, but then when we are, when we are at a pop sale together, most people come to get this same product from my stand because there is something that differentiates us from the crowd, and that's what people want, right? Your brand identity goes ahead to create trust and credibility in the hearts and minds of everyone in your brand comes in contact with. Brand consistency. I'm just, running through all of this because we've spoken about it already. Brand consistency means your brand's looks, the way your brand looks, sounds, and feels across board, both online, offline, in-store, and when communicating with other people. And it matters because it builds recognition, strengthens your identity, and supports professionalism. I know that I touched more on the reasons why it mattered because at that initial stage, I was just speaking from my mind, right? But now we have a few reasons why they matter here. So if you can take screenshots of this slide, that would be perfect, beautiful. Brand storytelling. It differentiates you from competitors, it builds trust in the hearts of people, and it makes your brand memorable while creating emotional connection with your clients and customers. Right, so the dynamics of brand management. The dynamics of brand management, all of these things are still very much connected to all of the things that we've spoken about before, when we talk about brand creation, we talk about brand positioning, brand experience, brand monitoring, protection, brand growth, and adaptation. I'm just going to, go through a few of these things. So we've spoken about brand creation already, right? We've spoken about it. We are not even going back there. Brand creation is the basics we've already talked about. And when we spoke about the logo, the name of your brand, all of those visual elements that we talked about. Brand experience, we've spoken about that as well, right? It's about the verbal part, storytelling, consistency, the promise, the keep, what people feel when they hear about your brand. That's that. Brand monitoring. Who knows what brand monitoring means? Very quickly. All right, almost done.
I
feel like brand monitoring is okay, I'm going to use something like KPIs, key performance indicators. So when you are establishing your brand, you have objectives. So I feel like brand monitoring should be about checking out your brand to see if you're actually fulfilling those objectives that you had while creating the brand.
Exactly, that's correct. That's an extreme to it. But then the other extreme as well is how it's about tracking how people perceive your brand through reviews. So monitoring how people perceive your brand through reviews, through social media listening, or social listening, could be one-on-one, and also through market research. That way you catch issues early and you can be able to curtail it and not say, there is a different way people perceive my brand now. Now I want to rebrand. I'm sorry, I have a very huge problem with people saying they want to rebrand because of a bad experience someone has had with their product or their brand. I really have an issue with that. So there is that. I already spoke about brand experiences. Brand communication is about consistently delivering your message through the right channels, the right tone, the right style to maintain recognition and relevance in the market and with your audience. Brand positioning. Am I speaking too fast?
No.
No, ma.
Okay.
We understand.
Brand positioning and differentiation is about making sure your brand occupies a unique, please underline unique, that's your positioning. You're positioning your brand in a unique space in your audience mind. You know, when they say, you have a place in my heart, you have a place in my mind. That is your brand position. You need to create a space in the hearts of your audience, of your customers. That way you create loyalty. And brand adaptation is about adjusting strategies, right? Yeah, with time, over time, you test run things, you do your A/B testings, right? And that's where brand adaptation comes in, right? Adjusting strategies, visuals, and messaging to stay relevant as markets preferences change or customer preferences change. Like I said initially, evolution is something that is going to stay constant. Now, I'm not saying, please mark my word, I am not saying rebrand. Rebranding and brand adaptations are two completely different things. Rebranding is that you're doing this thing out of the share we get messed up. I'm sorry. You're rebranding, yet you've not perfected what people should think about you, right? You're rebranding just because you want to, lure more people into your space to confuse them. Yet, brand adaptation is something that would favor both your customers. Rebranding might not favor your customers. I'm not saying rebranding is wrong. There comes a time when you can rebrand because maybe you're moving away from a particular geography or demography, and you're going to a new place. You have to rebrand to suit or to fit that particular place. And instead of calling it rebranding, I have decided to call it brand adaptation because you need to do things to stay relevant in that new place that you're going to. You need to do things to stay relevant in the minds of the people that you're now going to be servicing, the demography of the people you're now going to be servicing in that place that you're going to. Now, this is an example. It can be applied in different situations in different ways. Brand protection is brand protection on the other hand is like safeguarding trademarks. So it has to do with, please, if you're starting a brand, if you're starting a business, register your business. If you have other brands if you have other products under your brand, please trademark them. You don't have a monopoly of a name until you trademark your businesses, and that way you protect your brand. Copyrights fall under brand protection as well. What it does is that it protects your brand from misuse. It protects your brand reputation from misuse or damage. You can easily sue somebody if they speak ill of your brand, because you know that this person is referring to you or referring to your brand. You can easily, take up legal actions against them because this thing this person is saying is going to harm me or is going to harm my brand. And what they are saying, you have to have your facts, right? Anyways, this thing that they are saying is wrong about my brand, right? That way you protect your brand by having your trademarks, your copyrights and reputation, your copyrights and every legal papers all squared out. And finally, on this dynamics is brand growth. So brand growth is like, for example, when I started Eat Up and Drink Up, we started with just juices, fresh juices and parfaits, right? However, and by the way, the business is just is just a little over how many months now? Just a few months. A year and a few months, right? And when we started with those juices and coffee. However, now we have expanded, we have grown into new products that people love, people like, people are looking are seeking, right? And it's a different dynamic. When I mentioned research, market research, knowing what people want and actually doing it, that's where brand growth will hug you, will be happy with you for taking out that, undergoing that research, because it expands your reach through new products and partnerships without losing your core identity, right? For example, we say we are, for Drink Up and Eat Up, we are a healthy lifestyle business. There are a lot of products that we would say, people would think of us as a food brand. No, we are not a food brand. We are a healthy lifestyle brand, right? Because whatever products we put out, we are putting out a product that would affect your health in a good way. So you cannot just see us, put out a brand that, you cannot see us turning amala in our store. No, that's not what we do. We are, feed farm. We are a feed farm organization. If I do this for myself. Finally, right, I want to speak on personal branding. When Victor was introducing me, he called my full name. He said, Jamachukwu Akuwudike, but then he went on to saying, personally and professionally known as Jama. Now, Jama is how I've branded myself personally, right? Personal branding is the intentional process of defining, presenting, and managing the way you want the world to perceive you. Jama is a very easy name for people to pronounce, especially Yoruba people, right? It's easy for them to just say Jama. So it should be pronounced Jama, but then it is pronounced Jama. So it's easier for people to get to me that way. I've presented myself that way and I've managed expectations that way. Nobody's spoiling my name, right? And there are other things that fall on that. So you have now, that's the brand name, right? I have now branded myself with that name. So now what are other things that comes through that personal branding? We have the fact that it creates opportunities. I would explain, right? For example, when I'm speaking to someone and they're like, or someone walks up to me and they're like, what's your name? And I say, my name is Jama. Let me tell you, it sparks conversations because no one has heard of that name before. I've gotten it a number of times. And then they're like, Jama, what does it mean? Where is it from? And I go ahead to saying, oh, I don't give them the full name at a go. Initially, I just say, oh, it means keep praising. And then they're like, keep praising. Why is it continuous? And I'm like, oh, it's short for Jamachukwu. And they're like, are you serious? This thing is Igbo. From there, because I have had this amount of conversation, words going back and forth with this person, we're already feeling like we are on it. I don't know this person from Adam. I don't know this person from anywhere. But we are now talking, and we're just talking about my name. It's already creating some sort of personal connection. It's already creating some sort of personal connection with that person. And you see from there, a reputation has been built because they know that this person is friendly. See how she's explaining her name to me. And because of that, that reputation that I have created, the friendly connection I have built, is now impressed in the person's heart, right? And from there, business is coming. Because I will not just tell you my name and leave it like that. After I tell you my name, I start to tell you the things that I do. I tell you that I am a brand manager, a media personality. I am an entrepreneur. I create and service events, this, that. A lot of things that I do, I would lay it on the table. Now, you pick the one that you want me to do for you, because I do not just introduce myself to you for nothing, right? Personal branding matters because it differentiates you from everyone else. It creates some sort of credibility and trust in the hearts of people and every single person you come in contact with. And because it stays consistent, when this person goes to speak to the next person about you, it is the same words that everybody will have to say about you, that Jama is very friendly. They might say that before I spoke to her, she was just sat on her own or not really saying anything. But the moment I spoke with her, she became very conversational. Because that is who I am, right? I've branded myself in that way. I would be very friendly with you when you come to me. That is going to be consistent all around, whether I know you or not. As far as you're not good, it stays consistent. It creates some sort of control and narrative about you. It controls the way people think about you, what people think about you, and at the end of the day, it creates some sort of long-term value. You're at the top of mind. In rooms, they need to do something. They're like, oh yeah, I know someone who does this, because you've already created an impression, right? Some key elements of personal branding are brand vision, the mission, the unique selling points, that's your brand USP, your brand personality, brand tone and voice. You see that most of the things that we've spoken about, they keep coming up because you cannot take one away from the other. You can never ever take your brand tone and voice away from your identity. So the logo or the story people think of you. Your content strategy needs to have the same voice. So if I'm speaking now and I'm speaking online, the same way I speak is the same way you find me speaking online or speaking to someone in person, offline. Personal branding also ties into reputation management. What's going on? Also ties into reputation management. And then finally, steps to build a strong personal brand. We'll talk about you auditing yourself. So before you even say you want to start branding yourself, you first have to audit yourself. Who am I? Why am I here? What is that thing? What is that thing I'm good at? What is that thing that I can sell to people? What is that thing I can sell to people that they would actually want to be a part of? You audit yourself, and then after auditing yourself, you define your brand to yourself so that when you're selling the brand to others, it makes sense, right? You craft your visuals and your verbal identity. Remember when I spoke about corporate identity? You brand your corporate, your brand CI. And then after doing all of this, you then have to show up consistently. You cannot be a different person from who you were yesterday. You have to be the same person every single time. If you hate avocado online, you have to hate avocado in real life. Somebody should not catch you eating avocado in real life, and then online you're not leading people astray that avocado is not good, right? This is just a very bad thing. Deliver value. You need to be a person of value. You need to always deliver value. Don't make people regret working with you. Build relationships. One thing I always say with people that work with me or work for me or I work together with, right, is I do not take relationships for granted. I am consistently looking for ways to build relationships because there are a number of things, there are 1,001 things that I do that I wouldn't have been able to do if not because of the relationships I have built over time. So build relationships. By building relationships, you build a strong personal brand. And finally, after doing all of these things, you need to, by being consistent, you need to be, first of all, be authentic. Because if you're not authentic, you cannot stay consistent, right? So yeah, finally, that's that for personal branding. What's the time? It's already 11:30. Okay. I have a question. However, please, if you have any question, I don't know. I don't think I can take questions. I really want to take questions, but I don't think I can take questions on this call. However, please, if you have, I am willing to answer all of your questions because I like answering questions. Oh my God, I like answering questions because I like asking questions too. So if you have any questions, I don't know, is there a way, Victor, is there a way they can send anybody that has questions, they send them to you and then I respond through text? I just send a text to respond to all the questions.
All right, that works. So they can send their
brilliant.
questions to the WhatsApp group where we.
Okay, brilliant. And then you just compile and send to me, and then I respond to all the questions and send back. Right.
Yes,
Thank you so much. That works. So my own question, I cannot take it away. You must answer that question. So in the chat, please, I need every single person from what we've studied today. I need you to drop 3 words that describe your brand personality. Think of yourself right now. Think of who you are, right? And drop 3 words that describe who you are. Thank you so much, Cockpit Media. Thank you, the Hangar. Oh, there are people on this call that I did not hear their voices. Oh my God. Please, did I pronounce it well? God, that beg. Popo.
Yeah, you pronounce it well.
I did more than it, I hope.
Yeah.
Right. Who else? Maranatha. Let me turn on my video too. People should see me. I can see that people have videos on. I'm sorry, I'm going out. That's what I'm like. I'll be waiting. Nixon, Naomi. I heard Ngozi's voice. Habib. There are a lot of people on this call that I didn't hear their voices. Why? You really want to talk to me? All right, thank you all so much for being a part of this. And I really encourage every one of you to take this as seriously as possible, as seriously as you can, because this is an opportunity for every single person to learn something, to learn a lot from different set of people that have been through different spheres, right? I've worked with a couple of brands, so I can say to you all of the things that I've said to you right now. But for some people that have not worked with the brands that I've worked with yet, would need the knowledge that is being shared across the weeks in this month to, make it through the labor markets. Maybe that's what they said, labor markets. But yeah, thank you so much, Victor, for this platform. Thank you, every participant, and have an amazing, amazing rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Jama. Really
so
appreciate giving us your time and your resources. I know it wasn't easy to compile all of these things you shared with us this morning. I just wish that I wish we had more time to more time. I wish you had more time on your hands this morning, but we perfectly understand why you had to just rush through everything. So we really appreciate. I pray that God will bless you real good for spending the time that you spent with us this morning. All right, we'll do as you have said. We'll send the questions across to you as we expect your responses to the questions. Thank you so much. You know you have to go now, so we'll just carry on from where you left.
I really need to leave the call now. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye again.
All right, still have a wonderful weekend. Okay, guys. All right, guys, before we go, let me just use the next 10 to 15 minutes to touch on some things that came to mind while she was speaking. So this is brand management is one of the areas of my strength as well. And while she was speaking, some things just came to mind. I took a course in brand management from the University of London a few years ago. So some of those things that I learned in class were just coming to mind while she was speaking. I tried to highlight them here, which I'm going to be talking about in just about 10 to 15 minutes. So just here with us. One of them is the fact that branding cuts across, when we are talking about organizations, branding as touching organizations, branding cuts across everything in an organization. It cuts across the security, how your staff attend to people, what the people see on your website, what they see on your social media pages. It cuts across everything. Now, there's an example of this. A few years ago, a particular brand was trying to rebrand, and I think it was P&G, either P&G or Unilever, I don't know which one. What they produce diapers for children, for babies. And they were trying to rebrand because of a lot of complaints from customers and all of that. And one of the things they decided to do was to hire only people who had experience in managing children. Now they ensured that, I think it was either P&G or Unilever, because I know they produce a lot of, okay, it was P&G, right? So they have a lot of products, and one of the things they did, they transferred all their staff, all the members of staff who were not parents, who didn't have experience handling babies, transferred them to other products, and then transferred the ones that had experience handling babies to that particular product that produces diapers. So the results they got, they had an increase in sales because these fresh people they hired, or these fresh people they brought into the factory that produces the diapers, they have more experience. They know what parents need. They know what parents want when they go to the stores to buy diapers. They understand the products more than those other people that were moved to the other products. So when it comes to branding, it cuts across everything, like from the factory to for instance, if you go to a bank now, or let's use a restaurant for example. She used restaurant while she was talking. If you go to a restaurant and the security men are at the door opening the doors, if they treat you rudely, do you think you would want to go back to that same restaurant again? I doubt. I doubt you want to go back to that same restaurant again. So the way the brand makes you feel, or across all levels, from the first time you had contact with it till the final moment you left it, it speaks to the brand, to the image of that brand as well. So brand custodians or brand managers will do everything to protect the brand across board. And now another thing is, have you discovered, I know some of you have organizations in your mind that you'd be saying, when I'm done with school, I want to work with this brand. Some of us have those kind of brands. When I was in school, it was FIFA. I always wanted to work in FIFA, and I know I work with FIFA, so Bisha. So what makes you desire to work with certain brands is because of the image that they have put out there, the image of themselves they put out consistently over time. So branding covers all of those things as well. Another thing I want to speak on is that every brand, every movement, whatever it is that you want to do must start with a why. She was talking about consistency. The only way you can build consistency is when you start with why, when you start with a purpose. If your brand, if you're starting out an organization and you are starting without, sorry, I'm running low on battery, so I might have to turn off my camera shortly. Okay, let me turn off my camera. I hope we can still, can you all still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So to maintain consistency across the board, you must start with a why. There must be a driving purpose behind that brand. There must be a driving purpose behind the organization. Any brand, any organization that does not start with a why, you only end up chasing customers for the rest of the lifetime of that brand till the brand dies. So every brand must start with a purpose. Like, why are you starting up the organization? Why do you want to start cooking food for people to buy? Why do you want to start selling clothes on your WhatsApp status? What is the driving purpose? The purpose must go beyond making money. If it's just about making money, it will lead to a lot of manipulation, and manipulation kills brand. If there's something that kills brand fastest, it's manipulation, because you are trying to reduce prices, you are trying to please them as against your competitors. But if there's a thing your brand stands for, you will not need to manipulate them. See, for instance, iPhone, Apple, Apple iPhones. They don't need to reduce their prices for people to buy them, because there is a reason there's a purpose why they are there. And the purpose is, like she said, luxury, for them to stand out. When Steve Jobs started Apple, the mantra was think different. Now there were other tech brands, like Microsoft was coming up at the time, and so many other tech brands were coming up at the time. But Apple's goal was for people to think different, for people to stand out, and you can still see that essence, you can still see that message speaking to the brand even till today. If you see an iPhone user, iPhone users always they always stand out. There's always a way they stand out from every other. You see, every other Android phone, like they are classed as one phone. Whether you are using Techno, Infinix, itel, whatever it is, if someone sees you using an Android phone, they will just class you as one. But if you see a person using an Apple iPhone, like they always stand out, they're always different. So it's because the brand custodians, the brand managers, they had defined their why, they had defined their purpose from the start. So they don't have to manipulate people by reducing price. They don't have to manipulate people by competing against, they don't even have competitors. I doubt that I am people would want to say Samsung, but I doubt they don't have they are standing on their own. Whether you buy them, whether you don't buy them, they'll keep innovating. They'll keep bringing out new versions every year, and people will keep buying. They will keep having customers because they have a purpose. They have a reason why they are existing. So and eventually you have to like she said, still speaking on consistency, you have to be consistent with your purpose. You have to be consistent with your why, because the why can get fuzzy along the line. If you don't continue pressing it on the hearts of every member of staff of that organization, why that brand exists, the why can eventually get fuzzy. And when the why gets fuzzy, it spells doom to the brand. Now, let me give an instance. A lot of us here are old enough that we experienced the October 2020 event in Nigeria, the NSAS movement. How many of us remember that NSAS movement?
Yeah.
So everybody here remembers. Everybody who is Nigerian here remembers. So the NSAS movement started with a why. There was a purpose to it. And the purpose was to end SARS, to ensure that they disband SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. But eventually, along the line, the why got fuzzy, because eventually they gave the protesters what they wanted. They ended SARS, they banned SARS. And the why got fuzzy along the line, because so many other whys now started coming in. So many other hidden agendas, so many other hidden agendas started coming in. Some people wanted the presidency to, some people wanted the president to step down. Some people wanted the change of government. Some people wanted APC to get out of power. Like so many other hidden agendas started coming. And when the why got fuzzy, the whole protest died. Because I feel like if the why had clearly been stated out, that we want a change of regime, no amount of attack from the Nigerian army would have quelled that protest. I believe that the protest would have achieved what it was meant to achieve if it was spelled out that we want a change of government with this protest. So when the why gets fuzzy, and I'm saying this for brands, any movement, any brand, anything, when the why gets fuzzy, it's easy for the brand to die a natural death. So you have to spell out your why. You have to spell out the reason why that brand is existing. If you are not the owner of the brand, before you work on any brand, ask the owner of the brand why that brand is existing. So please just give me 5 minutes. I have to turn on my gen because my phone is about to go off. I have a couple of things to still share. I'll be back shortly. Just give me 5 minutes.
All right, sir.
Okay, guys, sorry. How many of us are still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we're here.
I'm here.
Abraham is here.
I'm there.
Okay. Sorry for that breaking transmission. For those not in Nigeria, this is what we suffer. This is what we go through. So, I was talking about when your why gets fuzzy. So, for you to maintain consistency over time, you have to, like I said, continue pressing your why on the hearts of everybody who is involved with that brand. They should know why the brand exists. If not, it will die a natural death. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So if not, the brand will die in natural death. Steve Jobs was once asked, I think he was in an interview in 1992 thereabouts. He was asked how he maintains, like how he's able to pass down the message of the brand across the entire team, because he had a lot of workers working on the brand at that time. I think they were just starting out at the time, and they asked him, like, how are you able to pass the message down across board? And he said something, and this will lead me to the next thing that I'm about to say. He said he passes it by showing example, by being exemplary. He said, if a brand is not, like, if a product is not good enough, that product will not get into the market. That's his own policy. Like, that was his own policy while he was the head of Apple. He said, if a product was not good enough, people like the members of staff were always looking up to him to see whether he would give it an approval for them to ship it into the market or not. And whatever he said was what they were going to do. And for he, the leader, to approve a product that is not good enough to go into the market, he sends a message across board that we can actually ship anything that is not good into the market. So he was exemplary by saying, if there was any product that was not good enough, that did not meet the mark of what they were expecting that product to be, they will send it back to the factory and they will rework on it before it is shipped into the market. And so this leads me to my next point, which is the fact that the personality of the brand custodians, the personality of the brand owners will always rub off on the brand. If you are a rude person, if you are saucy and you own a brand, it will rub off on the brand. It will rub off on the image of the brand. So before you work on your product, you must also work on yourself. And I think it's very important that she spoke about brand personality. Before you work on the product, before you ship your product, before you start marketing, doing anything, work on yourself, work on the way you interact with people, work on the way you present yourself, work on your image. Don't just, if you are a brand custodian, don't just appear anywhere anyhow. If you appear anywhere anyhow, people will treat you anyhow as well. So you have to work on yourself. You have to work on your personality, the way you treat people, the way you honor people, the way you respect people. You have to be respectful as well, because eventually who you are will always rub off on your brand. A good example of this was Sam Walton. Sam Walton was once the richest man in the world, I guess. I hope I'm not mistaken now. He was one of the richest men in the world as at back in the 1980s. He's the founder of Walmart. And when Sam Walton started Walmart, he had one goal in mind. His goal was to treat people kindly so that people would treat him kindly, because that was his own personal outlook to life, that if you treat people kindly, people will treat you kindly as well. And so he started Walmart to treat people kindly, to make things more affordable for people. And that was the message that was sent across board to the entire members of staff of Walmart, that this is the image of this brand. We treat people kindly, and we sell, like, our unique selling point is the fact that we sell at the very lowest price possible. And so, like, Walmart from there became, I think they hit about 40 billion as at the time Walmart stepped down as the $40 billion as at the time he stepped down as the CEO of the brand. And why I'm saying this is that as soon as Sam Walton stepped down as the CEO of the brand, it was very difficult. The people who took over as the CEOs, they could not pass the message across the way he was passing the message across as well. And so the organization started falling and crumbling. And so Walmart lost its place in the market and all of that. And so many other brands have taken over the years as well. So eventually, the person you are, the kind of message you pass across as a brand custodian will always rub off on the brand, and it will always speak to either the success or the death of that brand. And so there are other brands, there are several other brands that speak to these things I've just shared as well. For instance, there is, how many of you have heard of Ryanair? Ryanair.
I have.
Okay, what have you heard about Ryanair, Chiwendo?
Like nothing serious. I just know the brand actually.
Oh, okay. So if you've heard about Ryanair very well, if you paid attention to their brand, you realize that Ryanair is a savage brand. Like it's an airline. It's an airline company, but they are a very savage company. If you drag them on social media, they'll come and drag you back. They don't have they don't have respect for anybody, regardless of who you are. One time somebody said, somebody came to Twitter and tweeted that Ryanair has the worst planes in the airports, and Ryanair replied the person and said, next time when you are coming to the airport, come with your own plane. So they are that's savage. And if you check their social media pages, that's how they sound. Now, Ryanair, that's not even the goal of their brand. The goal of the brand, the why of the brand is to make flights cheaper and affordable for the poor. Like if you are looking for the cheapest airline to fly by in Europe, is Ryanair. Ryanair is literally the cheapest, and they are giving you cheap, and they are giving you entertainment as well. Now, there's something that they do. They brand their pilots, their flight attendants as well. They brand them so much that they become like, these people are humorous. Now, they don't even brand. So they do this right from the hiring stage. They hire people who are fun, who are humorous, who have a good sense of humor. So when you fly by Ryanair, you are not only flying cheap, you are also enjoying entertainment, premium entertainment. Now there's these pilots, the ones hired, and this guy had a very good sense of humor. The way he announced things, people would do video and post the video, and you can imagine what that will result to. That when people when people fly with your airline, they do videos and they post it. That's user generated content. That's literally people advertising for you. So they are saying, even though you are flying cheap, you can still have a great flight. Now, their planes are not the most comfortable, because if you want to fly, you are looking at legroom space, you are looking at so many other things, comfort. But they will tell you, we are not giving you comfort, but we are giving you entertainment, and we are giving you low price as well. So that's how they branded themselves, and it has stayed consistent like that over the years. That is their why. So if you must start a brand, you must have a why. When we are starting Cockpit Media, we didn't really have a picture of what it is that we wanted to solve in mind. We didn't have a picture of that. We came out only hoping to create a creative agency, because, okay, let me just tell you this, and I'm just telling you this because this is a mentorship program. When we started Cockpit Media, Dolapo and I, what we had in mind when we were starting was that, we're going to make money, because we've been getting some gigs from foreign countries, doing certain things for people. And we thought, let's just turn this into an agency where we can make more money and push out some of the work we've done in the past. And I started thinking on it that, like, the purpose cannot just be about making money. That can be all that there is to it. And you must know the same about your brands and whatever brand you are managing. So the purpose is not always to make money. You must exist to solve a problem. What problem are you coming out to solve? What problem are we coming out to solve? And I started asking myself that question, started pondering on it. What problem? If Cockpit Media as a brand was to change the world, what is it that will be changing? And how is it that we'll be changing the world with this idea that we have? So your brand must come out with that question. Why are we here? What are we trying to change? When Steve Jobs started Apple, the goal was to change the narrative that people couldn't own computers. And his goal, what he had in mind was that every home would have a computer, a personal computer. That was his goal. He started by creating computers for his friends, doing for his friends. And when he saw that it was good to have this thing at home, he said, let us commercialize this and ensure that everybody, in fact, it was not even about the money. Funny thing, you can listen, you can sit down and listen to Steve Jobs for 2 hours, and he will never ever talk about money. He will never ever talk about how they want to make profit or whatever profit it is they've made from what they are selling. You hardly see him, you hardly hear him talking about those things, because he is more impact driven than money driven. Now, I'm not saying the money is not important. Of course, you need money to keep the business running. But if you chase impact, just as Toby taught us last week, if you chase impact, the money will come chasing you at the end of the day. So we sat down and we asked ourselves that question. And I'm a very spiritual person, so I prayed about it. And one of those nights when I prayed about it, God pressed something upon my heart. And from there, Cockpit Media became a storytelling agency. Now, we are an agency that tells story for change, like I said last week. We are focused on telling stories for change, even if it's a brand that we are working on. If we get clients who don't speak to our essence as an agency, we won't take up the job. We are about creating change with the use of storytelling. So if a brand comes to us now, what service are we rendering? We are telling stories, and we are making change from those stories that we are telling. So your brand must always start with a why. If you get the job as a brand manager today and you don't know where to start from, go and start by asking the brand owner or the CEO or the founder, why are we existing? What problem are we trying to solve? So you must start with a why. And I think that's basically most of the things I wrote. So I'll advise you, if you've not read it, go and look for the book. I recommend the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Jama talked about Simon Sinek when she started. So I'll advise you to go and look for the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I don't know if it's on you can check oceanofpdf.com, you can check pdfdrive.com. If I can find it, I'll share it to the group. If I can't, I'll advise you to look for it in any of the bookstores. I read that book earlier this year, and it really changed my perspective on a whole lot of things. So whatever it is that you are starting, even if it's an organization, if it's an association, if it's a movement, you must always start with why. All right. So any question based on what I've just shared now? Do we have any question? If you have question for Jama, you can just type the question in the WhatsApp group. Or if you have questions,
the name of the book.
Start With Why. That's the name of the book. All right. Any questions for me? Okay, so let me just speak briefly on your task. I believe that you've all started working on your tasks. Group 1. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
I can't hear you. Group 1, are you guys here?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Who's talking?
It's Fego.
Oh, okay, Fego. Okay, Group 1, how far have you gone with your task?
We're still deliberating.
So you've not been able to come up with an idea yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Group 2, how about you? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Group 2, are you here?
Victor, we are here.
Okay. Tell me, Taiwo, how far have you gone with your project, your task?
We are still deliberating as well.
You are using English to close my eyes. I'm still deliberating. Okay, Group 3, are you here?
We're here.
Right. Okay, go ahead, Kenny. Or is that? Okay, that's Joindo. How far have you gone? You are still
This trend, but
deliberating.
Kane is the group leader, so he can actually go ahead and talk.
You started talking, talk.
Okay, so far we've just come up with a name or the brand and the problem we want to solve. So we now know, or we know the direction where we're going to. So it's now how to start putting the storytelling in place that's remaining. So that's the stage right now.
Okay. All right, group 4. Have you made any progress? Hello, group 4, are you here?
Hi, good morning, sir. We haven't.
I can barely hear you, Tomiloba.
I'm not listening to the work yet, but we'll get on it this weekend.
Okay, please get on it this weekend. Group 5. I'm asking just to know where you've gotten to.
We are here.
Who is speaking?
I'm Abraham.
Oh, Abraham. So Abraham, how far have you gone with your task?
Well, it's the same thing. The thing is that we have so many contrary ideas. We have like we all have like different ideas, different brands we want to work on. So we are still trying to like figure out the one that we should pick, probably like create a poll or something. So we decided to meet this night, by 8 p.m.
All right. Okay. So I look forward to seeing your brilliant ideas. However, if you get stuck along the way, please feel free to reach out to me for help. If you get stuck along the way, if you need my advice on anything, if you need help on anything, feel free to reach out to me. For the video side of the project, next week we'll be having a cinematographer. He's an award-winning cinematographer. He has worked on some of the big movies that some of you have seen on Netflix. I met him in Kenya last year. Did a very, very brilliant job I'm so proud of. I'll add it to my portfolio any day. And so he will be with us here next week. For the video side of things, he will be shedding lights on how to create fantastic visuals with your cameras. So that session will be on cinematography. So please try as much as possible to be present in that session next week. And like I said, for the task, if you need anything, if you need my advice on anything, if you need my help on anything, I'm always just one call away or one message away. If you message me and I don't respond immediately, please just try to put a call through. I'll be more than willing to respond as well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have questions for Jama, please just drop it in the group. I'll pick it up from there and forward it to her. Do have a wonderful Saturday and Sunday as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you again next week, Saturday.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.